Hello and welcome to the Election Corner on One Man Think Tank. Today I'm going to give a brief discussion on why the Republicans are basically destined to lose the Senate. As you can see in front of you, I've pulled up the Senate map. In this case, I have marked all of the seats we know what they'll be in 2022 for the race in the dark color. In the lighter color, I have my predictions for the election. Now, for these special elections in Georgia and Arizona, I have left these blank because they're going to be up for contention again. But I'm going with my and most people's best guesses at how things are coming out. A 50-50 split for the Democrats and Republicans. So before we even at all dive into filling out these seats and really going into why this is such a bad map for the Republican Party, we just need to look at the initial setup. The Republicans, remember it was 50-50. The Republicans are defending 21 seats while the Democrats only have to defend 13. That is almost twice the number. You see, what happened is the Democratic Party, over the course of the Obama administration, saw their conservative wing basically fall away, and a new progressive wing take its place, but that last bit has only really been cemented in these last 4 years of the Trump administration. We really saw it in the 2018 Senate elections, where conservative Democrats in Florida and Indiana and North Dakota lost, and Missouri as well, lost, costing the Democrats a majority in 2020 in the 2018 election. They could have had a majority right now if they kept their conservative senators. But the way the country has shifted, conservative Democrats don't win anymore. They either become Republicans or they are replaced by liberal or social Democrats. So this is our map right now. Already the Republicans are in a bad place. They're defending a majority of the seats in 2020, in this upcoming Senate election for 2020. And what's going to happen is, while they will not be defending a majority of seats in 2024, that's an entire presidency away, and the Democrats could from this gain an insurmountable lead. And for the record, I'm not going to go through anything super specific here where I'm like, well, there's a likely chance it's too far out, we don't know who's running. I'm doing the most broad strokes, but it really emphasizes what a bad position the Republicans are in. And here's another key point. Even in a 50-50 election, that's an election Joe Biden wins. I don't see a scenario where the Democrats either tie or win the Senate and don't win the presidency, or at least it'd be incredibly unlikely. So you have Joe Biden with the slimmest majority you can have for a Senate, 50 plus the Veep. And I could see the abolition of the filibuster, voting rights legislation being pushed through, the most basic stuff you can imagine. A $12 minimum wage instead of a $15, but it's tied to inflation and the like. A more basic legislation, but a lot of the stuff that passed the House as well. So you could see a $15 minimum wage type thing, but a lot of social issues, so voting rights legislation, pro-LGBTQ legislation, and the like. The key point here is that voting rights legislation, which will make it much easier for people to vote, and that really will hurt Republicans. There's no two ways about it. Take the Iowa election. If voting rights were more accessible, or actually, let's take the Georgia election. The Georgia election's got a slim number right now. It's a Republican state, but they've had to use a lot of voter suppression tactics in order to maintain their majority. Remove those, plus independent redistricting commissions for the House, and you're looking at, for the first time in a long time, the ruling party, or the party in the White House, gaining seats just from redistricting measures in the House. And that's going to affect the Senate as well. So let's stop beating around the bush and actually put in some seats. So for this, we're just going to put in the most typical expectations of this. So all of these states are relatively reliably blue at the statewide level. It now seems, well, these are reliably red. We'll assume Lisa Murkowski's not losing, but we'll assume Alaska goes red, Hawaii goes blue. Actually, just to make life easier, I'll differentiate our new states. Because we've got all these lovely shades. Republicans hang on to the Dakotas, Kansas, Oklahoma, basically the South. We'll even give them Iowa and Georgia, but given polling numbers, they wouldn't be able to take Florida. They keep Ohio, of course. And then you get the real humdinger when you get up to the Northeast. And for the record, even if Sununu runs, I think New Hampshire would still be slightly favored to the Democrats. So already, the Democrats have gained 4 seats in this scenario, where we just take the basic numbers. We'll even be nice to the Republicans and assume they keep Florida. Every state except Ohio has a single-party delegation. Now let's genuinely consider what that Voting Rights Act will do, the For the People Act plus the Voting Rights Advancement Act. You're putting states like Florida in play, Iowa in play, Georgia in play. All of these will have incumbents, except for Iowa. I think Chuck Grassley's going to resign, which is not good for Republicans. But we're just putting the 3 most basic seats on the board, and for all we know, Republicans will lose Iowa as well. And Democrats have gained 6 seats. That means in the 2018 map, which is not favorable to the Democrats, but has very few pickup opportunities for the Republicans on this map. As you can see, their only pickup opportunity, really, assuming party line votes, is Ohio. That's not a good place to be. You could argue maybe one of the southern states could be a little bit weak, but none of North Carolina's going up. You have 1 seat in Virginia, and Virginia is basically a blue state at this point. So Republicans will be fighting an uphill battle, meaning they will have to gain ground, either, 1, wait till 2028 to try and take all of these seats back, or try and gain ground in states that are becoming more and more reliably blue. And keep in mind, at this point, by the next election, so 2024, Texas could be in play. This is not a good map for the Republicans, and it shows you why they're being so defensive now. I've heard people asking, why are Republicans being so defensive? They have the presidency. They have a solid chance of keeping it. 1 in 3 is a solid chance. Not great if you're incumbent, but still 1 in 3. And they're probably going to hang on to the Senate, or at least tie it. And they control a majority of the state legislatures. Why are they so freaked out about this? And the simple answer is, they are destined to lose. If Trump loses the presidency, that could very much be the end of the Republican presidents. Because Texas is on the line here, and the For the People Act, like I said, will do enough that it could offset the Electoral College bias, or just they pass something to increase the size of the House. And maybe an amendment gets passed at some point in the future, but that's not close range type talk. But you see this map where 3 to 6 seat gain. If the Democrats do it all well and they keep gaining territory, we're seeing more and more states come into play. Kansas coming into play, Kentucky, Alabama, South Carolina. All these former Deep South states are coming more into play. We're even seeing a little bit of Ohio, though I don't think it's going to be a big deal this election. And let's assume the Democrats do a little bit better. Oh, I'm also assuming they win Montana. But let's say they win Iowa. Instead, that's about the only pickup they have here. They pick up Iowa. Not really seeing any other seats they're liable to gain in this upcoming election. They take Kansas as well. Let's say they take Kansas as well. Look, that's 2 seats away from a filibuster-proof majority. At this point, like I said, I suspect the filibuster will be dead, at least mostly dead. And then you have the genuine risk of Democrats keep gaining seats. What does Texas look like for the 2024 election? What does Tennessee, Mississippi, Utah, Indiana, all of these states look like? They're only getting more blue. And there's a solid chance you end up with enough Democrats they can pass, plus enough sort of Republicans who are scared about their position, they can pass a constitutional amendment ending the Electoral College. The Republican Party as we know it has to change or die. We remember this from the Growth and Opportunity document after the 2012 election, which they ignored. Well, they tried to do, and then elected Trump, hence ignoring it. We're witnessing the Republican Party literally fall victim to becoming unpopular. And people have heard me say this before, but my prediction is the Republican Party, if they lose this election, lose the entirety of the federal government, that is the end of the Republican Party. The next 4 years will be spent with them dying off before the Democrats split into two parties, one of the more liberal Democrats and one of the more progressive Democrats. But with that all being said, if you like the video, please leave a like down below. Also drop a comment while you're down there. If you want to see more from the channel, click the subscribe button and the notification bell. If you want to hear more about, see more ramblings from me, not in video format, I now have a Twitter at onemanThinkTan1 at twitter.com. If you would like, or twitter.com/onemanThinkTan1. I'll need to work this. Links in the description. But, as always, have a wonderful day.